Welcome to Doctrine and Devotion, the podcast that explores Christian faith and practice from a Reformed Baptist perspective. My name is Joe Thorne. I'm the lead pastor of Redeemer Fellowship in St. Charles, Illinois.
And I'm Jimmy Fowler, executive pastor at Redeemer Fellowship.
How you feeling?
I'm feeling great.
Are you feeling victorious?
I am smoking my
victorious.
victory cigar right now.
Yeah, because on a previous episode last week, Jimmy said that I did not state my sermon summary at the beginning of a message, but waited until the end. And of course, I don't remember that because I don't remember anything I say when I'm preaching.
This is wonderful.
And so I went back and watched it, and sure enough, I did not. I did not state
You know the
my
best
sermon
part
summary.
about this?
What's
Is that it's the last one and you can't smoke right now.
No, I cannot. I cannot. But I already did have a cigar this morning, so I'm okay. It's the wrong size. That's the size you like. That's why I got you that one. I like a different size.
Oh, it's wonderful.
I would rather smoke it. But look how it's not even burning even. That's the curse that you get right now.
No, that's the place you bought it from.
No, it's not.
Yes,
they
they don't rotate.
I didn't buy it from there.
They don't rotate wherever you're at. Binny's.
No, they sell out almost immediately at Binny's. That's
Nah,
that's
they don't
fresh
rotate.
stuff. So Jimmy's preaching on Sunday. So when this releases, he will have already preached. Jimmy, you're preaching on
Revelation 5.
What? Worthy is the Lamb.
That's it.
And we're going to sing, He is worthy.
Really?
No.
Okay.
Stop it.
I don't know. I don't know what.
Come on.
Yeah, I don't know what.
We got some good stuff. What are you looking for? You're like all over the place.
Lighter, because
Okay.
it was burning uneven.
Yeah, I know. It bothered me too. So now you're leaving again. Where are you
I'm
going?
leaving
Where are
again,
you
yeah.
going? Oh, that's right. You're going fishing.
I am going fishing.
Can you say who you're going fishing with?
Well, I guess.
I mean, it might be interesting.
It is
might
fine.
be interesting.
Yeah.
Because Jimmy runs in circles. You know, he runs in various, sort of, famous circles because Jimmy's a big deal. And like you're friends with me, obviously.
Yeah,
That's
obviously.
one circle
That's one
of fame
circle
and
of
notoriety.
I mean, yeah, I've got like Harlem Globetrotter friends, and I've got.
And so now you're going to go with former UFC.
Well, no, he's still under contract. But
Was he really?
Yeah, he's got 3 more fights left.
Ooh, I didn't
Three
know
more
that.
fights. Yeah, with Clay.
Clay the Carpenter Guida.
That's it. I'm heading down to Florida to go fishing with him.
He is Florida man, even though he's from Illinois.
No, he loves it. So Hall of Famer Clay and I are gonna, and Izzy's coming as well. So
Cool.
we're gonna go and we're gonna go fishing Monday for I think tarpon.
Yes, of
and
course.
then yeah,
Yes,
of course.
indeed, tarpon.
It did. Yeah.
Mhm.
And then Tuesday we're gonna go kayaking to get bass.
I really want a picture of you in a kayak, please.
So Clay was like, so we're talking, called me 2 days ago, and he was like, "Hey man, just stay at my house. We'll just stay, know, because he's got multiple abodes." And
Yeah, it'd be fun.
yeah. I was like, "Nah, I got to stay at the beach house. Like, I got to be on the ocean."
Oh,
And he's like, "Really?" I'm like, "Yeah, dude, I got to be on the ocean. Like,
Why would you not want to like bunk with
I don't.
Clay?
Well, because I don't want to be a burden to him.
He's inviting you. It's not a burden.
Nah, I'm all right.
Yeah, you're just solo man. That's all. You're just solo man.
No, he's getting a room there too.
Oh, he's gonna be with you.
Yeah,
out there.
we're
Oh,
gonna be
okay.
hanging
All right,
out.
Good.
Yeah.
All
We got some plans for Sunday night, Monday night. Yeah, we're.
I
we're
just
gonna have some fun.
make sure that you get a picture of you and him together. Send it to me and let him know that I knew about him. I was watching his fights. Probably
I've got lots of photos with Clay and I. What are you talking about?
But you don't share them with me. So take one and send it to me so I can see it and make
Oh,
sure you let him
I mean,
know
I've got
that
like-
I'm a fan. That I've been a UFC fan before
You know,
you
a
were.
lot of our photos are like Bears games and baseball games. So yeah, this will be our first fishing photo.
Yeah, just any photo. I want to see it, man. It's fun.
All right.
You got to share the love with me.
Now Clay, Clay is a really good. Like he's a humble,
Yeah.
down to earth. He's a stand up guy, man.
The thing about Clay though is he first of all he's got a jaw of cement of granite.
Mhm,
Like he's just he takes hits and punishment like nobody else and just keeps going. He's like Captain Caveman. He is
Yeah.
crazy in the ring. I always love watching his fights. But you know who's crazier?
Well, here before that, just make sure you follow.
just ruined my joke, so it's okay. I'm not going to go with it now. Thanks, Jimmy. You're terrible. You're terrible.
No, I was
yes
gonna say just
anding.
make sure you follow Gills and Thrills. Oh, never mind. It's with Guida. Never mind. It's all one word.
Mhm.
I'll tag him.
Okay. All right, sounds good. Well, listen, we're excited to
I
have
love
on.
that I ruined.
Yeah,
I
you
didn't-
just it was good.
You know what I was gonna say? You could see photos of me there.
Yeah, okay. Nobody cares. Nobody cares.
Everyone
Especially
cares.
me. Especially
You don't care?
No.
If I told you, and I've done this to you before,
Mhm.
if I told you right
Yeah.
now,
Yeah.
I have a ticket for you to go, you wouldn't go.
Fishing, I wouldn't go. No.
You would not go?
Nah, I don't like fishing. That's not my thing. Honestly. If it was just hanging out, I would go.
Well, you're hanging out on a boat.
Yeah, that's not out in the sun
with clay.
Yeah, I would hate that. I'd be miserable. I really would be miserable. Yeah, I can't do it.
All right, you're not getting the invite to the John Jones bicycle trip.
I don't want to.
Because that's outside too.
I'm not bicycling. Are you crazy?
Anyways, continue.
I'm not bicycling anywhere. What are you talking? Oh my gosh. Let's talk to somebody who has something good to say. My friend Will Basham is on today. We're going to talk to Will about rural ministry and his new book. Will, if you don't know him, he's the lead pastor of New Heights Church in West Virginia. Born and raised there. He is married to his high school sweetheart, Amanda, and they have like 7 kids or something. They have 5 kids. And his new book, Rural Mission, Insights from a Rural Church Planter, is available now. And I've read it. It is great. Welcome to the show, Will. How you doing?
Hey, thanks for having me on. I'm doing pretty good. I would have been doing better if that introduction would have come through. That was setting up to being the greatest introduction ever for me.
I was trying to
Jimmy had to ruin it.
He that's what he does.
Know what? I'm about to mute. How do I mute?
You ruin
Will?
things. That's what you do.
I don't ruin things.
I got this nice beard trim going, and all day long, all you've been doing is making fun of how awful I look.
I'm about to post it online right now.
It's right.
No. Listen,
I've already posted a picture of what it looks like online. Everybody saw it.
But it's like the no neck one.
That's when I'm slouching down and I'm at a meeting.
Yeah. It is horrible.
Yeah. Okay. All I know is
now when you're standing up and you stretch out to make sure your neck's showing.
Yeah.
You actually look very fit and trim.
Yeah. Well, I'm not. But
that's why I said look.
Yeah. So anyway, the thing is like everybody's so much taller than me, they can't even see my neck.
Anyways.
No, it doesn't matter.
Well,
so I'm just going to
We all have to be sitting and you standing, and then we can see the neck.
Jimmy's making, like, we're at an elders meeting. We're dealing with serious stuff, and he's photoshopping my face onto a whole Mr. Potato Head body. So I just look like a total dork. Anyways, Will.
He's being productive in one way or another.
That's right.
Will, you and I connected back in 2018. I came out to the West Virginia Acts 29 thing.
Oh,
right?
I remember that. That was such a great event that I went to.
No, you didn't go.
Oh, I didn't get an invite, Will.
No.
Continue.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No, he knows you ruined things. Go ahead.
I think that's why Jimmy was jabbing at me a little bit for my accent too. But a little bit of coaching on my name, Basham. You have to actually like become a redneck when you say it.
Basham.
Will Basham.
Yeah, like you're gonna bash him in the head. I like that.
Exactly. Yeah, it sounds more intimidating too. But yeah, truly glad you're going fishing, Jimmy.
I'm pumped.
Good to hear that about you.
Yeah, I love it. I love me some fishing.
Now, Will, why don't we just we haven't done this in all of our interviews, but I think a lot of our people do have this kind of a question for people, especially pastors and writing books. How did you come to faith? How is it that you became a believer, a follower of Christ? When did it happen in your life?
Yeah, I grew up going to church from infancy, and we lived 3 miles out of Holler, far out from society, and we went to just a little country church called Middle Fork Baptist, and I actually repented during an altar call at a revival. So like old time hacking preacher going on. I was 10 years old. Actually, my wife, who was not a romantic interest at all at that time, got saved at the exact same revival just a couple nights later. Yeah.
Wow.
I met her because my mom would take her to church with us, and she she was friends with my older sister on the school bus. She lived up the same holler, and so it's just God's sovereignty over the whole thing, and so that's when I came to faith. I was baptized just a little, I think 3 weeks after that.
Nice.
In a creek called Scary Creek. And, then grew up in the church and started preaching and at age 19 when I got married. And so I got married young at age 19. That's just how we do it in West Virginia. And started preaching at an early age. And that was kind of the beginning of my journey.
Now, you talk about this in the book about how you came to faith and all of that. But I'm curious, you mentioned this in the book as well, hacking preachers. Now, those of us that are not from a rural context or maybe a southern context, I don't know, we have no idea what that is. Could you explain to us?
For Steve McCoy that's listening right now.
Steve McCoy knows nothing, so he definitely needs this. So when you explain it so that
Steve understands. Explain it like Steve is 5.
Okay, yeah, gotcha. So there's a very common style of preaching that I describe as almost like stream of consciousness writing, but orally or verbally. So it's, you read a couple verses of the Bible And then without notes, a lot of times without even preparation, you just begin to preach. A lot of it is just kind of whatever comes to mind, and it's viewed almost as like this mysticism. So it's like what they view it as like whatever the Holy Spirit puts on their mind to say. But it's almost like freestyle rapping. And there's these like breaths that are taken in between, or like coughs that are referred to as hack. So you'll get in a rhythm of a hacking, and you'll begin to talk about whatever you want to say, and it's just it's very big on a supernatural mysticism type of culture, and that's kind of what I grew up around, learning to preach. So a lot of my preaching training, or lack thereof, was throwing me into a pulpit with no preparation whatsoever, saying, all right, go for it.
Yeah, you said in the book that, when you got around other preachers in schools and seminaries, you were kind of weirded out because they were all like having notes and wanted you to have notes. Right. And you're like, bro, we don't do notes. Like, we got the Spirit in the Bible. What are you talking about?
Exactly. Yeah. So it led to a skill of improvisation that's come in handy, but it's not how I would advise to train preachers.
Right. For sure. So you mentioned, in your book and now just about at, 19 starting to preach and everything, but when did you know though that you were called to the ministry? Like, when did you know for yourself?
That came shortly after I was married. I was kind of dabbling in ministry a little bit earlier on, but when my wife and I had saved up enough money to actually go on our first vacation, we were in college and we were around like non-rural Christian people for the first time. And we never went on any kind of like international mission trips. We were just kind of sheltered from that evangelical type of thing. And so all of our college friends were going on short-term mission trips. And so we were like, that sounds like a good thing. Jesus might like that. And so we went to Matamoros, Mexico for our first trip, like as a married couple. And that was the first time I led someone to Jesus, like just in personal gospel witness. And so like I was doing stuff in the church before I actually led someone to Jesus. And I remember on the plane ride home, just a huge conviction about that I hadn't personally done that. And the way I knew to do that and really begin to fulfill the Great Commission was just to grab a Bible, get in the pulpit, and start preaching. So that's when I kind of sensed that call that I was going to become a pastor.
And even in your church where you now you might have some differences of opinion theologically or in terms of philosophy of ministry, you did have a church that was very supportive of this call that you experienced, right?
Oh, yeah. And so one of the things that we've really tried to do with the books is really appreciate the upbringing, because it was a religious setting with a lot of flaws and some imperfections, but I never want to discount the upbringing I had, because these people may have had weird or maybe even bad strategies in how they train leaders, but these people led me to Jesus, and they taught me the gospel, and so very much appreciate that.
And see, I love that about your book, Will, is sometimes like you have there's this swing. I think there's this mentality out there that somehow the rural church is beneath. You know what I mean? Or like the rural church, like the heritage of it and the history of it and how they go about it. When there is like this rich tradition there and this rich, I would even, not just tradition, I would say like this.
It's a work of God.
It's a work of God.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, it's this work of God in and among a people. And it fits the context there well. So I love that you're not trashing and trying to say, hey, there needs to be this wholesale, embrace of like Tim Keller and the city. You know what I mean?
Right.
But like you found, hey, here are the areas to address, and here's why it's important. I think that's really, really helpful.
Yeah. We're excited to get into some of that. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your church? What's happening at New Heights? Why does it have to be new? Why can't it be old? Why can't it be traditional? Why can't it be low? What's going on there? Because I'll tell you, Jimmy, I was there at that church, and those people were awesome. I love them.
Now, did you feel like
when I was there,
did you feel like it was like home?
I felt like home. I felt like these are the people.
Like if you left Redeemer, that would be the place where you can go call home.
If I was there, I would plug right in. I would follow Will, no problem.
You would not skip a beat.
Nope. I absolutely love it.
I don't want you to think that's special. He says that about every
church.
I do not.
I only say it about some churches.
With everything.
No, listen, I was at Jared Wilson's.
I believe everything he's saying.
Thank you, Will, because I was at Jared Wilson's church and I was like, I don't think so.
You said that.
I'm kidding, Jared. I'm totally kidding.
You said that about Texas?
Yep.
Portland, New Zealand, California.
Yeah,
you did.
No, what California church?
Not the last one we were at.
No.
Homeboy that I can't remember his name now. I feel horrible. He was with Acts 29. Dave.
Oh no, I like him, but no, that probably wouldn't be the church.
What's his last name?
Dave. Yeah, Dave.
Oh, okay,
Anyways,
you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, but
okay,
no, that's not. I didn't say that about that church.
yeah, you did.
Nope.
Wow.
Anyways, what's going on at?
Well, I think what he was saying was if he somehow in some weird circumstance found himself living in Milton, West Virginia, he would be at our church, which would be like he wouldn't have that many options.
I'll tell you this. And honestly,
he wants to move there.
75% of it would be for the cigar shop that you took me to. So
yeah,
I'm just being honest.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is there good fish in there?
There is. Yeah.
Oh, I might go.
We like trout fishing.
Nice.
And there's lots of bass lakes around too. So
Yeah,
they don't grow as big as they do in Florida though.
But you just spoke my love language.
Yeah, that and Turingia. Yeah, like the fish you're gonna be.
What'd you say? Say it again.
Turingias. Yeah, like that's what you're gonna be fishing for.
Anyways, go ahead.
So, Will, tell us about your church, man.
Yeah, so I started New Heights Church in 2012, so almost 9 years ago now. And we, the way I ended up in the town I'm in, which is Milton, a population 3,000, was I wanted to get out of my hometown because I knew so many people in every church in my hometown, which was smaller, by the way, that if I planted a church there, I just felt like I would just blow up every local church because I knew enough people. And so I was like, all right, I got to get out of town, but I don't want to go far because I love this place. I love these people. Flirted with going to Charleston, West Virginia, which is our capital city, population of 50,000. And most people around the United States, I think, would call that a small town maybe, or a small city at least. But when we looked at just culturally how God had brought me up and the circumstances of my upbringing, I was like, man, I'm not going to fit in Charleston. And so a direct drive north to the interstate was a small town called Milton. There was a lack of churches there. And so we were like, all right, this could be a place that could feel culturally like home, but also needs a work. And so we started the church here, like I said, nearly 9 years ago. And God just blessed the work. We've planted 3 churches.
Nice.
In that time, we have a granddaughter church now. And it's been really cool to see, how God's moved. And a lot of the converts that we've seen, people who come in, profess faith and be baptized, are very religious. And that was a striking thing that we began to see over and over and over again, that people had no concept of following Jesus, were not regenerate, but had a very religious upbringing or understanding. So we began to refer to them as the religious lost. And so that became a very important strategy with how we planted the church. You
should see Jimmy's face right now. Jimmy is so excited.
No.
What are you thinking, Jimmy?
Okay, all right. So you started this. Say it again. What year was that?
2012.
2012.
Yeah.
So within 9 years, you have planted 3 other churches.
Yeah.
So I want everyone to hear this
in a rural context.
It doesn't make it any less, Joe.
No, it makes it harder.
Exactly. So I want everyone to hear this. You didn't go to where the money was. You know what I mean? Like you didn't you didn't look for an opportunity like, okay, where's a semi-affluent place where I can go and, I can not make some money, but be able to sustain this. You went to a community and it was because there wasn't churches there.
Yeah.
I think that's beautiful.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think that's beautiful. A lot of church planters, I don't want, not a lot. I hear from some, they, part of the how they find a spot is, are there a lot of people, and is there financial financial viability here? Right.
And we'll look at the big demographics.
Look at the demographic size of that. But Will says there's no churches here. This is a good place to do the work. I love that. And then 3 others.
Yeah. Right. Let me explain it this way. I actually go into this a little bit in the book, but I think a lot of times rural areas are kind of positioned as really hard places to plant a church. And I could, try to build myself up a little more by affirming that, but I think it's just not true. Because you look at my town, there was just such a need that it was like destined by God's sovereignty to blow up, even if some messed up person like me came in and planted the church. And I compare it to fishing in the book So Jimmy, you'll track with this analogy.
I'm ready.
Please. Yeah, use more fishing analogies.
He doesn't
please.
understand bass. He doesn't
gosh.
understand tarpon. Please.
Right.
And trout. Continue.
So one of the fishing strategies is to go where there are a lot of fish, and that's a fine strategy, right? And that would be kind of like the city mentality. All right, we're going to go where there are a lot of people. That's where we're going to plant churches. But another fishing strategy, and this is kind of how we have to do it in West Virginia because we're not known for big lakes and all that stuff, is not to go where there are a lot of fish, but to go where places are underfished. And so we go where there may not be a ton of fish, but we find these like secret spots in the mountains where nobody's fished it yet.
So like,
and that's kind of the rural church planting mindset is like, all right, no one's fished it. There might not be a ton of people, but there's a big need here.
Yeah. So would you say any lure will work there?
Would you say it's sort of like, okay, I'm going to up my fishing game. Would you say it's sort of like noodling?
Oh, yeah, no, we do no noodling in West Virginia.
No,
that's
I'm saying noodling, though. It's like you catch the big catfish with your hands, you go into a place and you reach into the hole. Never mind. Okay, I can't do the fishing stuff.
Well done. So based off that then, like as you talk about, then why is it that the rural mission field has been so neglected by so many church planting agencies?
Well, I think it makes sense to start with urban centers. I really do. I understand it. But I think it's the good thing is I'm seeing in networks and denominations, I'm seeing them kind of come around to some rural focus. So I'm a part of Acts 29. There's been a rural focus in Acts 29 in recent years. I've seen other networks and denominations doing the same thing. And I think it's just, not only going where people exist, but also where planters exist. A lot of rural areas weren't beating the drum of church planting.
Right.
It's typically in a rural mindset of like, all right, we've got enough steeples in this town. We don't need any more competition. And so a lot of the guys that want to plant churches are coming out of urban areas. So there's just not a lot of guys coming out of rural places that are wanting to plant. And I think that fed into it somewhat. That's
a really fair, I think, a generous answer, because there's a part of the equation too, which is rural ministry is not sexy.
Yeah.
So to most planters, to most entrepreneurs, these guys that are going out, I've assessed a lot of church planters. And thankfully in Acts 29, when we were a part of Acts 29, we had a guy wanting to plant in a rural area of Wisconsin. And at the time, it was so many years ago, he was like, I know that this is not a strategic focus, but the whole assessment team was like, it needs to be. It needs to be a part of our approach. And like what you've got going on is great. And that guy got right in. I mean, doing the work. So I think it's great. Why don't you talk to us a little bit about Rural Church Voices? I mean, this is something that you created, I think with another brother, at least one other guy. Tell us about Rural Church Voices, what it is and what you guys are trying to do.
Yeah, so Rural Church Voices is in its infancy stage. To be honest, I don't know where it's going to go, but there's a brother in my church named Jason Cook who wrote a book, and we're releasing them together. So the books are out now. You can get them on ruralchurchvoices.com or on Amazon. And he sent me the book a while back before I had my book completely written. I had like 3 chapters of mine written, and he sent me his completed book, and it was twice as long, and it was super intimidating. And he's a member of my church, and he was a pastor for over a decade in an established rural church. And he ended up leaving his denomination over some different circumstances. You can read more of his story in his book. But so he rolls into our church, and he's not one of our elders. He's just a deeply loving and compassionate brother that just adds so much value to the ministry of our church. And so he gives me this book. I begin to read through it, and our stories are so similar, and there's such a great need. And so like we started to pray about, like, can we combine these and make them one book, or what would be best? And so he had more of an established church and healthy rural church kind of vibe to his. Mine was more like trailblazing, starting new ministry type thing. And so then we kind of landed it. Let's release the books in tandem together and create a series. And so that's how we started Rural Church Voices. Publishers didn't really want our books, which was fine. We have no following. Like, we don't have a big online presence or anything. And so it was hard to pitch to publishers because we don't know how many books we would sell or whatever. And so
I'm just glad you guys have like an online, you guys just have internet.
Yeah, because
the internet helps, right? If we didn't have internet, we would be out of luck. Our internet's really slow sometimes. So we did a podcast with somebody else, and it dropped the podcast call like 4 times. It was so embarrassing. We're like, sorry, this is a rural side effect.
Don't worry about that here. We got the Holy Spirit helping us. So
I've actually.
By the way,
I'm on top of a mountain right now, like holding my cell phone up in the air, trying to make sure it doesn't drop.
Jason, listen,
we decided to release these books together, and so these are the first 2, and we're hoping to produce maybe up to 5 more.
Wow,
series over the next several years, written by people in rural context. And it's not a different topic per se. We're dealing with just issues of the church, but we're giving it a particular nuance for people in rural settings.
It's really important. By the way, Jason Cook's book is called Old Time Religion, Healthy Churches in Rural Places. And Will's book is called Rural Mission. Good books you should definitely pick up just to understand what's happening and how things are working in the rural context, even if you're not a part of it. So you should go and pick those up, hit up Amazon. And we'll link to all of this in the show notes so you guys can check it out. But I'm glad you're doing it. And don't worry about the publishers. I mean, I've worked with a couple of different publishers. Some are great, some are not so great. But they have to look at the bottom line. Can we sell at least so many thousand copies within the first printing of this thing?
Right.
But you guys have done a great job putting out something that looks good, reads good. And I'll just tell you this right now. When Jimmy and I got our books, they came with stickers.
Yep.
And we like stickers.
Yep, very nice.
Very cool stickers that reflect the art. And, Jimmy, we got cigars.
Yeah, and we got cigars.
Now, I'm pretty sure if you order a book from the website, they will throw in a cigar for free. For every book you order, you'll get 1 free cigar. Is that correct, Will?
I can neither confirm nor deny it. So
okay, so that doesn't happen.
Just go buy it and find out.
I'll do this. I won't guarantee that you won't get a cigar.
Now, when you talk about even in your book, when you talk about rural isn't monolithic. It isn't just one culture. Yeah. But yet there are. I ministered in a very rural context, a town of 1,000. I pastored the church in the middle of Kentucky. 1,000 people in that city. So I've been there and I've done that for 2 years. It was a short stint. So while rural can look different in different counties, in different states, in different regions, there are still some commonalities that exist throughout. So what are some of the, when you're talking about rural, what are some things that are almost always true about rural?
Yeah. So some of the commonalities are going to stem from just the smallness that exists, right? So in rural communities, you don't have as many things to do, as many places to play. And so that's gonna take an effect on like what church life looks like. All right. And then, and I think one of the other commonalities is, things like, economic status sometimes plays into some rural stuff, all of which I dive into in the book. And even like education. There are just not as many opportunities in rural places because universities aren't going to go where people aren't. Right. And so you're dealing with a less educated, usually less wealthy group of people. And I think if you just try to transfer things that you've read in books from churches in bigger areas into smaller areas, it's not always going to be 100% transferable. One of the big things I write about is discipleship and how a lot of the books I've read on discipleship focus on kind of an academic strategy for discipleship, right? It's all about reading books, learning more. And I've seen a lot of churches really try to just disciple people by getting them to read more and more. Well, a lot of people in my church don't want to read. There are people who are like thrilled that I wrote a book and they've just told me I'm not going to read it because I don't read. And that's fine. But like, if your discipleship is just grounded in like academic knowledge gaining, then you're selling yourself short because those people still need to be disciples. Right. And so that's a lot of what I write about. Just like, okay, what are some strategies to engage people that are coming from that dynamic as well?
That's great. And I've seen it at your church. I've seen the fruit of your labor of love and how the leadership of the congregation are really, you can see God at work. And so you're not just kind of promoting some kind of theory. You're talking biblical truth that you've actually seen bear fruit in a very specific context. And I think this is really good because I think a lot of us on the outside, when we think rural, even if we have some experience with it, if we're not a part of it, if we didn't grow up in it, it's almost like we just sort of pass over it It's sort of like the poor areas in the urban centers. We're just like, I'm just going to avoid that area. I'm uncomfortable with it. I don't know what to do with it. So I'm just going to kind of stay away. And, as if God stays away, because he doesn't. He's active there, and we can see it happening in churches, really we see it. We see you guys making disciples at New Heights, and it's pretty exciting.
And so, you hit on some of those unique challenges, right? About ministering there with the lack of education. People don't want to read. There's maybe unemployment, but low income. So as someone hearing this and thinking, maybe I can go plant or minister in a rural context, what would you say? Like if they were asking, like, how do I know if I'm a good fit for ministry in a rural context? What would you say?
Well, I would say it doesn't take a whole lot. So a lot of my book is promoting the case that it's easier to plant in a rural context, not more difficult. And I think that's one of the stigmas that exists. Is like, okay, it'll be harder. And there are some unique challenges for sure. But the need is so great. And there's such a lack of like gospel-centered churches in a sea of churches. And that's why people they'll look at a rural community and they'll just see steeples everywhere. And they'll assume, all right, this place has the gospel.
Right.
But that's not the case. There's no gospel centrality in most of these rural communities. And so, you've got to have some basic skills. Like if you're going to plant a church in a rural area, like we want you to be gospel centered, gospel focused, and we want you to be able to like preach well. We don't want you just like going into the pulpit with no preparation and no notes. But I think the field is really ripe for harvest and ready and ripe. And so yeah, if you're thinking about planting in a rural context, Jimmy, connect with some other rural brothers to give you that particular nuance. Maybe read a good book like Rural Mission and give it a shot. Get some affirmation from people around you, get assessed, and then go after it.
Well, I know, because in my case, I actually, when I was a student at Moody Bible Institute, my fiance at the time, she's now my wife, we were considering rural ministry. And we had some guys come in to talk about it. And in our mind, we had romanticized rural ministry. And I know you're saying that there are ways in which it's easier, but in our mind, we had actually romanticized it and thought of it, it basically like one of those Lifetime Christmas movies or like a Hallmark movie or I guess kind of how we pictured it. And then we started ministering there and we got our butts kicked hard by coming into an established church. And we experienced a lot of hate. There was a lot of resistance. It was pretty cold. I'll tell you this, no one would come into our house from the whole church. We would try to invite people in. It was a weird, and again, this is not true of all rural contexts or country contexts, but in this particular context, it was really weird. And we found it incredibly difficult. And of course, the same or worse could happen in an urban context. So you can't always just say, well, I had this experience in a rural context, therefore this is what happens in rural context. Right. And so that's what I think some people do. They have one experience and they go, that doesn't work for me. Every church is different. It has its own baggage. And so every city has its own baggage and it goes on like that. And so when Jimmy asks, how do you know if you're a good fit for ministry in the rural context? Are there any traits that need to be true of a pastor or a leader that is going to step into there? Because I'll tell you, it seems to me that patience is, of course, required of every pastor, but it seems especially relevant in a rural context to me because of the pace of life and perhaps the long-standing traditions that have been put in place.
And I feel like I'm too bougie.
You are a little bougie with your Jimmy wears shoes that are like $1,500.
Bougie out of there, right? Hanging out with famous people all the time and stuff.
Famous people and his $2,000 alligator slippers.
First of all, they're not slippers.
Yeah, you'd have to leave.
I love that you lean into that lie.
In Illinois.
Jimmy does not have $2,000 slippers. Go ahead.
But patience, you're right. Patience is good because it can take a little longer to break into a small town, right? Because everybody knows everybody, and so it's hard to become an insider. Whereas in a bigger area, nobody knows anybody, right? They see new people all the time, and so you've definitely got to be patient there. The other thing I would say that's unique for someone ministering in a rural context is presence. Look, those are even alliterated: patience and presence. Whereas in urban, that's the Baptist in me. But in the urban areas, people are going to be more forgiving if you're not present with them all the time, if you're not seeing them and having personal conversations with all the time. In a rural area, people expect to know their pastors personally, not just hear them preach, not just when tragedy strikes, but when nothing's going on, they expect to be friends with their pastors. And so you've got to be patient. You've got to be present with people in kind of the everyday life. And so those can be hard things to learn, but they're necessary things to learn, especially in a rural area.
All right. Well, I got one more question for you.
Okay.
How realistic is Ozark? Is it really like that where you live? Is the show Ozark on Netflix? Is there like a lot
he
of
doesn't even know what the show
bad
is.
stuff going on? Do you watch Ozark?
I've never watched a single episode.
Wow.
Do you guys not get Netflix down there? Is that what it is?
No, the connection's too slow. It buffers all the time. Here's the closest thing I know to what you're talking about is Ozark Trails, the outdoor brand at Walmart. That's where I get all
no, I'm not talking about that. Jason Bateman. Talk about Jason Bateman.
Well, you need to check out Ozark Trails.
Oh, see, okay. Well, I'll tell you
Maybe
this.
watch a little less Ozark.
I probably should. I'll tell you this: if Jimmy and I had to build a zombie apocalypse survivor team, Will Basham. Sorry,
Basham. There you
would be on that team.
Oh, you'd be on that team. You'd be on that team.
Yeah, because you're a survivor.
We've got the guns for it.
Yeah, we definitely we're gonna need that. They tend to. You can't even have a gun in Illinois unless you get a special card. It's a special card. It's a magical
West Virginia,
card.
Anybody can have one and conceal carry without a permit and all that.
Well, yeah, because America.
And you get tax breaks for doing it too in West Virginia.
Oh wow.
Oh, look at Joe. Look, Joe just perked up.
Yeah.
Maybe we should plant a church in West Virginia.
I don't know what I'm going to do.
Call it Lolo's. Call it Old Lows. I'm going to call our church Old Lows and
Old
New
Lows.
Heights. Yeah. Will, where can people find you online?
They can follow me on Twitter, Will_Basham.
Facebook. Underscore.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
really dropped the ball on that one, didn't you?
Yeah, I tried.
Nobody's going to follow you. Will_Basham. But get his book, Rural Mission. It's really good. And the book that comes with it, you can order Old Time Religion by Jason Cook. These are good books, man. Listen, I want you to order the book because you're going to support a friend who's doing gospel ministry, but also because it'll help you to understand what's happening in rural context, especially if you're not familiar with it. It's really, really good. So get on that.
Well, we'd love to hear your thoughts. You can follow us online on Instagram and Twitter @DocandDevo or on Facebook /Doctrine and Devotion. You can head to the website, doctrinedevotion.com. There you can contact us. You can sign up for the email blast or hit up the store at jofostore.com and grab some gear. Fresh pod every Monday and Thursday. We got blog posts and video content over at the website. We've also got our all-access exclusive content. Banter of Truth releases on Tuesdays. Weekday Wisdom, Monday through Friday. You just head on over to doctrinedevotion.com /all-access. Later.